We begin with today's developing news. One U.S. Capitol Police officer has died and another is injured after a suspect rammed a vehicle into a police barricade outside the Capitol building. Karen Caifa is live in D.C. with the latest.
Though we don't really have a motive for today's attack, we are learning about more about the suspect who was involved. 25 years old, identified by federal and local law enforcement officials as Noah Green. And in some recent online posts, he referred to fears of the FBI and the CIA.
National Guard troops inside the halls of Congress after an incident outside the U.S. Capitol Friday led to a total lockdown. On Friday afternoon, U.S. Capitol Police responded to reports of a driver ramming a vehicle into two Capitol Police officers and a barricade on Constitution Avenue. A senior congressional aide and U.S. Capitol Police tell CNN that driver exited the car brandishing a knife. The U.S. Capitol Police reported a suspect taken into custody. The suspect later reported dead. Two Capitol Police officers were injured in the incident. One has now died.
This has been an extremely difficult time for U.S. Capitol Police after the events of January 6th and now the events that have occurred here today. So I ask that you keep our U.S. Capitol Police family in your thoughts and prayers.
Congress is not in session this week, and few lawmakers are working in the Capitol complex. Congressman Ro Khanna of California had just stepped out of his office when it all transpired.
When I came back, I had frantic calls from someone on my staff saying, get away, there's an incident. And honestly, it did bring back memories of January 6th.
The scene with the insurrection at the Capitol on January 6th is still fresh in lawmakers, officers, and Americans' minds. A massive outer ring of fencing erected around the campus after the riots was removed just weeks ago.
And this is a photo of Officer William Billy Evans. He was an 18-year veteran of the U.S. Capitol Police Force, and he died in today's attack. In a statement from the White House, the President, Joe Biden, said he and the First Lady, Jill, offer their condolences to the officer's family. He also said that the flags at the White House would be lowered to half-staff in honor of Officer Evans. They have also been lowered at the Capitol complex as well. Officer Evans is the second U.S. Capitol Police officer killed in the line of duty this year, the third that the force has lost. Live in Washington, I'm Karen Caifa. Now back to you.
Thank you, Karen, for that update. Here's another live look at the U.S. Capitol. You can see crews there lowering the flags there. So both the Senate and the House are in recess. That means all four members of Hawaii's congressional delegation are here at home in district right now. We touch base with all four of them. They say their staff in D.C. are all safe. And we spoke with Congressman Ed Case less than half an hour ago. Here's his reaction to today's attack outside the Capitol.
Well, I just so deeply mourn the loss of Officer Billy Evans of our U.S. Capitol Police. Our Capitol Police are part of our Ohana on Capitol Hill. They keep us safe. They allow us to do our jobs. They protect us. They're on the front lines. And it's such a senseless tragedy all over again. And one just has to ask the question all over again. Why? Why would somebody want to directly attack our Capitol, our democracy, our institutions? And so it's just a very mournful day for me.
That was Representative Ed Case there. We're going to have much more on this story coming up on later editions of HNN. Want to get to some more breaking news, this time traffic. Breaking news, a traffic alert to pass along. There are lanes of the H2 southbound freeway closed right now at Kipapa Gulch Bridge. We don't really know much else other than there is some sort of police investigation going on there. If we get any more news on that, we'll pass it along. Meantime, even more breaking news coming into the HNN Digital Center, this time from the State Department of Health. Right,
That's
Ash?
right. The state is reporting 136 new cases today and no new fatalities. The breakdown by island shows 13 cases on the Big Island, 5 on Kauai. Remember, 4 of those cases were reported by the county yesterday. 32 cases on Maui, 82 on Oahu, and 4 residents were diagnosed out of state. Meanwhile, the CDC says fully vaccinated people can travel safely again. Billy V just got new reaction to this news. Here he is with more.
Thank you very much. We're here in the departure area of Hawaiian Airlines at Honolulu International Airport. I'll kind of get out of the way here so you can see. It's been moderately busy on this Friday, which for some is a holiday. Some people are traveling. I talked to a couple of university students from out of state. They've been here for about a week. They're headed to the neighbor islands. They said they've had a wonderful time. I asked them, when you go back to where you came from, Los Angeles and Texas, do you have to quarantine or do you have to get a COVID test? The one from Texas says no. The one from Los Angeles says not sure yet. The latest CDC guidelines, which we've been looking through that were released this morning, say that fully vaccinated people can travel in the U.S. safely. The federal agency says they do not need to get a COVID test or quarantine when traveling, but you still need to follow local and state rules. For Hawaii, that means getting your negative COVID test results within 72 hours of flying here. Meanwhile, fully vaccinated travelers should still wear a mask, avoid large crowds, wash their hands often, and a reminder that masks are required on planes and in airports per CDC rules.
And while we believe that fully vaccinated people can travel at low risk to themselves, CDC is not recommending travel at this time due to the rising number of cases.
We talk about fully vaccinated. That means you have to wait 2 weeks after receiving your second shot of Pfizer or Moderna, or 2 weeks after getting the single-dose shot of Johnson & Johnson. The CDC does not mention anything about showing proof of vaccination. Once again, experts say that you should monitor yourself and symptoms after traveling because people who are fully vaccinated can still become infected. And of course, Hawaii officials have been working on that vaccination passport plan. Governor Ige has not signed off on that yet. Lieutenant Governor Josh Green also had words about that this morning.
Well, I hope as soon as possible. I've made a direct appeal to the governor and our whole leadership team that we implement that right away. There's no question now with the CDC's blessing that it's safe. If you're vaccinated plus 2 weeks, you are immune, you are safe as a traveler. For inter-island travel, it's a complete no-brainer. We should take away that restriction and get that done now. I would also like to see us use it for the mainland. They've also blessed travel from the mainland. It's just a matter of being confident that people who show their card are being honest. The Gov wants to be a little more cautious, but I don't really think that many people are going to risk being fined or penalized for a trip if they can just show their vaccination card.
This is the latest from the CDC, and it is out today. From Honolulu International Airport, I'm Billy V for This Is Now.
So just how many people are traveling to Hawaii? March brought almost exactly 500,000 arrivals, which is almost exactly half of March of 2019. March had only 2 days of over 20,000 arrivals. In 2019, we got 30,000 a day. We're still down 99% of visitors from Japan and down 90% from other international points of departure. To news from the Valley Isle, King's Cathedral in Kahului plans to continue holding in-person services even though state officials asked them not to. This comes after contact tracing linked more than 50 cases to the church. Church officials dispute that case count and say many people have healed or completed quarantine.
This church is classified as an essential institution that is protected by the Constitution of the United States. It is there as a beacon of hope, is there to encourage and to help people during this time. That is why we continue to have in-person services, again, following CDC guidelines and working directly with the County of Maui, Department of Health, to be able to make sure that we honor our authority, but also exercise the right as a church to be able to meet.
The state says the virus has been spreading at the church since March 7th, and the health department is asking anyone who attended events there to get tested. We talked to Mayor Victorino about this and other updates today on Sunrise.
If they, we have offered an outdoor venue at our War Memorial Stadium to make up that, their Sunday services. Today's event is obviously too difficult, but they have assured me that they're following all the CDC guidelines, good sanitation, physical distancing, also wearing of masks, not more than 1/3 of the capacity, just like we have other venues in the county. And so I couldn't see where, yes, there is a bigger outbreak in there, but it's not just that particular Kahului location. There are some other cases that are coming from other locations throughout Maui Island. So I'm kind of giving them a chance to put this together. We are watching, monitoring them. In talking with Dr. Char yesterday, she mentioned that, really there was not a lot more they could do unless the outbreak continued to grow, and then they would come in and help put a stop or closing down, saying going to virtual or drive-through like we did before. But they are offering virtual. They are offering drive-through services in conjunction with the live in-person services. And we've offered the War Memorial for them for this coming Sunday if they so choose to utilize it.
Mayor, I wanted to ask you, part of the complaints have not just been inside the church, but also outside in the parking lot as well. Some say that these members are being reckless in gathering despite this cluster. Do you agree with that?
I have not seen it. I've heard these issues, and we have been investigating, and I know the Department of Health has been looking into that matter, and there's been no reports back that there are solid evidence. However, just like anybody else, people are, even here in Maui at the church, some of them have been a little callous, and I've warned the minister and the pastors there that you need to take immediate action. It is your reputation that's being put on the line.
Mayor, you've been clear you will not shut down the services today or on Easter Sunday. I'm curious, do you feel that it's safe enough that you would even attend King's Cathedral?
Yes, I would.
Okay. You have also proposed post-arrival testing for travelers as you've seen your COVID numbers rise in recent days. I wanted to ask you a little bit more about that. What would be the plans? How exactly would this unfold?
We have a plan of action put in place already. We've been discussing this with various vendors out there that have done it or continue to do it in other jurisdictions. The airport and the airport manager, Marvin Muniz, has been very accommodating in working out an entire system. So we know what we will do once we get the approval. We'll be able to put that together in at least a week, maybe 10 days, and have it operationally up and running so that people who are arriving there will immediately get a post-rapid test so that either you be free to go or you'd be quarantined.
By next week, experts say neighbor islands should be expanding vaccine eligibility to most residents. Starting Monday, everyone 16 and up can get their vaccines in Kauai and Hawaii counties. On Maui, Dr. Lauren Pang, the island's district health officer, says they also plan to expand eligibility to those 18 and up next week. Lanai and Molokai have already reached the younger population. This comes as Kauai gets ready to re-enter the state's Safe Travels program for trans-Pacific travelers on Monday. That means visitors have to show a negative coronavirus test taken within 72 hours of departing for Kauai to skip the 10-day quarantine. People who work in the visitor industry are being urged to get vaccinated as more travelers arrive.
There's good news to report from the State Unemployment Office. Casey Lund is there today with the latest update.
Good afternoon. Yeah, the good news to report is that the DLIR was able to implement the latest round of federal relief through the American Rescue Plan much more smoothly than they have in programs past, those pandemic emergency unemployment compensation programs that the state had real trouble with in September and December of last year. Now we're hearing that claimants are able to get online, file, and actually get paid. This morning we talked to a claimant, Dave Moskowitz, and a harsh critic of the Unemployment Office and the state of Hawaii, who said this time it seems like they got the program right.
Actually, I was quite impressed to see that the minute we had really no gap, maybe a week to wait to begin to get paid, and it was right off the bat, though, it was 2 weeks rather than one. So no, it's a big improvement for people who had no issues. For people who have issues like my roommate, he's 20 weeks out now waiting to get paid.
There are still many people who are having major issues like Moskowitz's roommate. One Kona woman I spoke to last night who was laid off from her job because of the pandemic was overpaid at one point from the DLIR. This is a common situation for claimants. This caused her claim to go into pending status and stop their payments altogether. She hasn't collected benefits since September of last year. She just needs to clear up the mistake and work with someone, but this is her and many other people's experience when calling in to get help.
I called Tuesday 78 times and just got a recording that they were busy and please call back. And they're making it so hard. Before, when you first called them, you could press 1, but now you have to sit and listen to the whole message. It takes a minute and then you can push 1 and you get the same message that they're too busy, call back. And it's very, very frustrating. You feel like, you're just, nobody wants to help you. Nobody is helping me.
Communication and customer service remain big issues at the department. The department has contracted 25 investigators to handle those overpayments through the Idaho company Solid State, the same tech firm tasked with replacing the state's 1980s era mainframe. It's said that claimants will also be able to book teleconference appointments with unemployment staff beginning on April 5th. For the first appointment starting on April 20th, but it's understandable that many claimants are skeptical that will actually improve customer service. We have seen multiple attempts to bring call center online here in Hawaii and on the mainland through contracted companies, and we are still hearing from folks that cannot get a human being on the phone. So we'll have to wait and see if this teleconference program actually improves customer service. We again this week reached out to the DLIR for an interview on all this, but we were denied that request. Reporting in downtown Honolulu, I'm Casey Lund. Now back to you.
On the Big Island, a new detail has emerged in the vacation rental manslaughter case. Our sister station in Pittsburgh reports that all 3 men staying in the Kona unit were 2020 MBA grads from Carnegie Mellon University. Benjamin Fleming was charged with manslaughter after Abhishek Gupta was found dead. An autopsy found that he had been strangled. Authorities say the 2 got into a fight. A 3rd man was released with no charges filed against him. Prosecutors in Derek Chauvin's murder trial continue to present their case against the former Minneapolis police officer, calling a veteran lieutenant to the witness stand.
Once a person is cuffed, the threat level goes down all the way, to they're cuffed. How can they really hurt you?
A now retired police sergeant who was on duty the night George Floyd died also addressed the use of force.
Do you have an opinion as to when the restraint of Mr. Floyd should have ended in this encounter?
Yes.
What is it?
When Mr. Floyd was no longer offering up any resistance to the officers, they could have ended the restraint.
It is possible the defense could file for a mistrial because the police sergeant made a comment about use of force despite not being qualified as an expert.
You have to understand that defense lawyers move for many mistrials during the course of a trial, in part to preserve an issue for appeal if a defendant were to be convicted.
At least 50 people have died in Taiwan's deadliest train crash ever. Nearly 500 people were on board that train when it slammed into a truck. Ian Lee has the latest developments.
Rescuers call out, hoping to find anyone alive, while cutting away pieces of twisted wreckage in Taiwan. Authorities say a construction truck slid down a hill and onto the track, striking the train just before it entered a tunnel. The impact ripped train cars apart. This woman says, all of a sudden, I fell from my seat to the ground, I hit my head, and it was bleeding. Those who could walk escaped onto the roof. This passenger says the damage in his car was bad, but the next one over was much worse. Crews pulled dozens of bodies from the scene. Medics treated more than 100 others for injuries. The train was carrying tourists and people heading home for the holidays. Authorities are now promising a thorough investigation into Taiwan's deadliest ever rail disaster. Ian Lee, CBS News.
Of course, we're going to continue to follow that international developing news tonight on your NBC Nightly News as well as your CBS Evening News as well. We have a development here at home regarding Bellows Beach, right?
That's right. So here on Oahu, the city announced that it will be closing overnight campgrounds at Bellows for about 4.5 months. Now, last year, officials found 7 Hawaiian green sea turtle nesting sites along the popular beach park in Waimanalo. They say the closure is necessary to ensure the endangered turtles are protected as they nest, incubate, and hatch along the shoreline. Now, the closure is scheduled to last from Monday, April 19th through Thursday, September 2nd. And again, this is only for overnight camping and the twilight use of the bathroom and shower facilities. The Parks Department says it's exploring how to offer more camping opportunities at other campgrounds. And officials did say if the turtles will, if they're still, in the process after Labor Day, they will extend the closure of the camping grounds.
I could watch this baby turtle video all day. Really, it's adorable. Let's get you outside to see what conditions those little guys are dealing with, and it's gorgeous for this holiday weekend. Guy Hoggy, I heard him say earlier on Sunrise, promising some of the best weather on the planet.
All right.
Type forecast. You know he loves saying that. Hasn't got to say it so much this spring. Well, let's turn it over to him to get an update on that Easter forecast.
How's it on this Aloha Friday? We're going to have beautiful weather today. It's going to be gorgeous. And you better embrace it. Go outside and enjoy it because things are going to change for the wetter over the weekend. This morning and today, we won't see a whole lot more than these wind and Mauka showers. And they're very scattered, so really spotty stuff. No significant rainfall expected until tomorrow night. And those winds will be slowly picking up. Already they're running at pretty good speeds, and they'll get even stronger over the next few days. So for today, it's going to be gorgeous, lots of sunshine, a few wind and Mauka splashes. Trade winds running steady at 10 to 25. UV index is at extreme levels because we're expecting a lot of sunshine. We're not expecting a lot of surf. A small pulse is due into the North Shore, but we're talking small, maybe shoulder high. And increasing east wind swells because of the increasing trade winds. We'll see bigger waves for east shores over the next several days. So it's going to be absolutely gorgeous today. Tomorrow, Saturday, mostly cloudy. A few more showers by tomorrow night. And then on Sunday, it's going to be cloudy, it's going to be rainy, it's going to be windy, and those same conditions will continue into the first part of next week. Keep it here on Hawaii News Now. We'll have all your severe weather updates.
So last week we talked about so much space news, and this week not as much. So have to get my fill in. So NASA tweeted out a really cool picture all the way from Mars. Check this out. Very cool there. And you can see there's little marks on that rock there. That's because NASA zapped it with a laser, not a razor, a laser. They did this with their rover, and they're doing it to see what the geology of the planet is really like. They really haven't said what this rock is, but many think it's a meteorite that's been seen on other places before. This is all part of that rover project that is getting ready to do something so cool. We're talking about that helicopter mission, that little mini drone-looking helicopter. That's going to be happening very soon. I believe it is in April, and I cannot wait. The first time a helicopter is going to take flight on another planet.
I love the color of that rock.
Yeah, we can get you a little necklace made out of it, maybe, if they bring it back.
It'll match my dress.
It does match perfectly. Totally.
So model Chrissy Teigen and her two children with singer John Legend are featured on the new cover of People's Beautiful issue. Now, speaking to the magazine, Teigen discussed various topics, including parenting and her outlook on life, and she also talked about the family's heartbreaking loss of son Jack last year due to pregnancy complications. Teigen and Legend got married in 2013 after meeting on the set of one of his music videos 7 years earlier.
Gorgeous photo there.
Yeah. And a batch of royal chocolates more than a century old have been discovered. They were found in their original packing in a helmet case from the Boer War. Now, commissioned by Queen Victoria in the year 1900, they were meant to boost the morale of soldiers fighting in South Africa. Now, 121 years later, they were uncovered in the attic of the owner's daughter.
All I got in my Easter basket was 100-year-old chocolate. Yeah. We have a little bit of time to leave you with some really cute video.
Yeah, this is very cute. So the Australian Zoo has released this video showing some of the famously cute Aussie animals getting into the Easter spirit ahead of the weekend celebrations. A zookeeper said it was great to celebrate again with the animals, staff, and visitors. The zoo was forced to cancel all celebrations last year because of the pandemic. Oh my gosh.
Hugging that little stuffy, I love it. All right, guys, happy Aloha Friday. Have a good Easter. We'll be back here on Monday.